All right, welcome back to another episode of Regenerative Inspiration. I'm here today with the founder and CEO of IntelligIS, Marcus Wilson, and he's also a founder of an organization called Bounceback. So we're going to talk about a whole lot of different things, but Marcus, you have quite a story, and I met you in Atlanta a couple weeks ago. You are a titan of industry, a Titan 100, and I met you at the interviews, and I'm like, hey, will you come on my podcast? I'm like, because your message is exactly what I think people need to hear, and I know it's going to impact and continue to affect people in great and positive ways because you have such a great story, and an attitude around it too. Like you have a awesome way of presenting how you had adversity and how you overcame that and where you are today. So well, tell me a little bit about where you are at this point and then how you got there.
Hey, thank you, Will, for having me. Now, it's an honor to be here, and I really mean that from my heart. So, thank you for seeing that in me to even want me on your show. Again, when someone gives you that honor, I mean, it's great. So, thank you. How did I get here? Well, as a kid, I grew up in Greenville, Mississippi, the Delta. Unfortunately, the Delta is it's where my grandparents were, and my mom had me when she was young, and she couldn't take care of me. She was in school, so my grandparents said, "Okay, we'll take care of him. It's our first grandchild." So that's I go from being born in Chicago to move to Greenville, Mississippi, and I grew up in the what is called the Dirty South, the Delta, poor region. It's one of the poorest, believe it or not, in the country, and that's how you grow up. You don't see any wealth. And so from education here, you see a lot of educated people in Atlanta, and you can associate education with wealth. Not in Greenville, Mississippi. My mom, master's degree, sh- teacher. I know people with PhDs, and they live down the street from me. So they were broke, and we didn't have a lot. That started me looking at other areas. Unfortunately, I saw people doing the wrong thing, so to speak, selling drugs, etc. And it intrigued me because I associated those things with wealth, not with wrongdoing. It was not about doing wrong. It looks like this is the way out of the place I'm in. So I would then go to the military in Air Force, did well. Air Force Achievement Medal. I was Air Force crypto, top secret clearance, but I was still broke. Made E1, E2, E3 pay, and I came to a crossroad. Stay in the military, be broke, serve your country, or get out of Atlanta, start going towards use your skill set to go towards jobs. And I got in Atlanta and found a mediocre job, and still what happened? There it is in Atlanta. What did I see? Atlanta wasn't the way it is today. It was
When did you move to Atlanta?
I moved to Atlanta out of the military. I was in Sumter, South Carolina, Shaw Air Force Base. And I had friends moving here, and they said, "Hey, man, Atlanta's a great place. You should come." So I got a chance to come here a few times and hang out, and I loved it. Plus, my friends were here. I had a support system.
Mhm.
And that's how I ended up moving to Atlanta.
Yeah, I loved Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for 5 years. I really enjoyed it. So, yeah.
So, yeah. So that's it. I mean, I got here, and again, unfortunately, I hung with the wrong people because in my head, it was already ingrained that this is just fast money. And what no one taught me is haste makes waste. My grandmother always said that to me. Never rush. Haste makes waste. But fast money. How quickly can you get it? It's you've been broke and you have this now opportunity to make fast money. Money that you've never ever in your life made before. And that's how I made the decision to get involved with the people here, obviously in this thing, they called it selling drugs or whatever the case may be. I'm not trying to do it to be a bad person. I just see it as a way out. And it's wrong. But as a kid, I'm early at that point. I'm early 20. I'm just coming out of the military. I'm barely 21 years old, right? So, and I'm hanging with the wrong people. It's just I've never had a dad. I'm I'm learning and I'm figuring things out on my own with very little guidance. So unfortunately, I'm just attached to the wrong people.
Yeah.
And that started the whole thing.
Right. So ultimately, you saw the stacks of cash. It's intriguing. lifestyle, is what it is too. But you get that money and you don't keep it usually because you got it fast and easy, right? And so it's
Absolutely.
this continual churn. So even though you're trying to get out of it, you can't get out of it because you're stuck in that lifestyle, right? And it's a spend lifestyle for sure, right? But then you got caught. So talk about that a little bit, and then what happened and how that transform you.
Well, when you get caught, they say it changes. You now have, unfortunately, the scarlet letter. You now have the black cloud of your head. You are now considered an ex-felon. That's where the problems start. Easy come, easy go, as they say, right? You mentioned fast money. My grandmother always said, easy come, easy go, right? Be careful. Haste makes waste. And that to me as a kid doesn't mean anything, right?
Right.
It doesn't until you get in trouble. And then you realize once you get in trouble, you are now in hell. Nobody wants to deal with you. Very few people want to hire you. And the biggest problem is you really, with apartment complexes, with any type of criminal background, good luck. It doesn't really matter that you don't have a violent crime. That doesn't matter. It means that you have a blemish on your record. And when they see that thing on your record, it's a no. So when you walk out, I remember I didn't have a place to stay. I could not get a checking account because at that point it messed up my credit because I had credit cards in the military and couldn't pay them. So now I am ex felon, bad credit, and my life is now changed. So in the military, in the actual prison system, I took the electrical apprentice program, and that was the last maybe I don't know few months or whatever case may be. So I had the opportunity to at least start somewhere when I walked out. I just couldn't get a place to stay. So I had one friend that said, I will take you in with my family. He allowed me to stay in this basement. And he said, I'm going to train you on in IT. And we started from there. And every day he would drill me. He was more like a drill sergeant. It was almost like going back to the military again.
Yeah.
So, he said, you need to do this, you need to do that. You can't stay out all night. You're not going to come in my house all types of the morning. So he was very, very, very disciplined. He was a role model. And he's like, I'm not going to let you fail again. You're not going to be hanging out with these people. You're not going to do that. You're going to get your work. You're going to get your education. You're going to get your certifications, and you're not going to look back. You're going to bounce back from this stuff. Hence the fact, bounce back. In my head, I will never forget that name because I understood what he was saying. It was not good. It was painful. When someone tells you, why would you be out here doing that? Look in the situation you're in right now. Who wants to deal with you? I want to tell you something funny. I was getting ready to go out on a date, right, with a young lady, and he said, where are you going? I said, I'm getting ready to go on a date. She's going to come by and pick me up. He said, she's going to come by and pick you up. He said, do you hear that? She's going to come by and pick you up. Would you want your daughter, right? In your situation, would you want your daughter going out with you? Oh, that hurt my heart.
Mm.
That hurt my heart. It was a blow. And I thought it was a low blow, but he wasn't. He was being honest. He was being the disciplinary person. He was saying, you don't have time to go dating. You need to focus because your life depends on you right now to make good decisions. And he kept me in a straight and narrow, tough love, as they call it, but it paid off.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think I've ever heard that before, but that is a significant blow to the ego right there. But a
It
wake
is.
up call. And in reality, he was 100% right, because if you like, I feel like, you go out searching and you're going to find the wrong thing, right? You prepare yourself, become like the best man you possibly can be, then the right person's going to come along, right? So that's like,
Absolutely.
I think that's like how it's supposed to be, so you become whom you're supposed to be. And that's exactly what your friend said, which is cool, but I never heard it that way before.
And it's really tough, right? And it hurts your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think he was really worried about my feelings. I think he was worried about my future.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that's true. So how did that, is that the company you're in now? Is that the one you're with now? Or is that
No, intelligence, as far as me starting intelligence,
yeah,
that came many years after
okay.
me going through and him helping me get certified. I started as an electrician. I was making
Mhm.
750 an hour. I will never forget it. I was out in the heat. I did all the dirty jobs because I was the grunt. So when you go through something like that, people treat you like dirt. And I remember them telling me, "Let him do it. He's going back to jail anyway." They
Sure.
called me ex-felon. They called me failure. I remember all those different words of going through. I remember getting home sometimes and I would ask God, why did you, is this like a joke? I know I got in trouble, but look how people are treating me. I'm like a second class citizen, right?
Yeah.
That's why today I'm very conscious how I treat people.
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of never kicking someone when they're down because you never know when it could be you.
That's right. Well, and I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are hopeless and they think they're alone, right? And I mean, so how did you overcome the stigma, right? How did you overcome that and keep pushing on? Is there any tips or anything that other people can learn or glean from what it is? I mean, because you obviously, are getting all that stuff and you didn't go back to prison. You pushed hard and you made something amazing out of yourself. So what would you tell them if they're in a similar situation right now?
When you, if you did it to yourself, I did. I can't tell you that things happen in life that you have no control over. The things that happened to me, I had control over. So the first thing I did was I accepted responsibility. I never said that anyone locked me up. I never said the system locked me up. I never said the system targeted me. I didn't say the cops were looking for me. I said I really screwed up and now I have to fix it. My mom, too, was my biggest cheerleader. She would go on to pass early. She died at 48 of uterine cancer, but she was until she passed, she was my biggest cheerleader. She would never get an opportunity to see me recover and do what I'm doing now, but she was my cheerleader. She said, "I'm never going to give up on you." That's it. So I never knew my dad, but my mom was like, "I'm never going to give up on you." So despite what anybody else says, I'm always here for you. And then, she would always say, "It's it's not what other people think about you. It's what you think about you." She said, "If you dictate your life on what other people say about you, you're gonna have not so great of a life. Make sure you look in the mirror and make sure you don't feel that way about yourself." And it pushes you. And as I go through life, I've had to really continuously focus on that. Like, don't, despite what somebody else says, as long as you don't think that way, you'll be fine. How did I go forward? I accepted responsibility. I was disciplined and I was hungry. I was hungry. I did whatever job I had to do. If I had to carry the bags, if I had to do the lowest on the totem pole work, I did, and I never complained. There are two more things. I was the first one to work and the last one to leave. Every single job. I remember my boss telling me, "Do you go home?" Because when he would get in, I would be there. And when he left, I would be there. So he really would, it was a joke. He would just look and say, "Well, I see the clothes you have on are different. So you must have been home at some point in time." It was like a running joke in the office. So that's so when I did get a job, so let me tell you how I got the job. This is where God's grace comes in. I was a temp and I got a temp job because now I have my first certification. I get on a help desk and I go in through a temp service. And the temp service, I'll never forget it. I was at NCR. NCR was then at that point was bought by AT&T. It became AT&T Global Information Services. About a month into the new job, the new company foreman, a person walks up to me, the manager, and says, "Hey, we want to talk to you." And so I'm thinking, "Oh man, I'm in trouble. Am I about to get fired?" Right? I'm thinking I'm getting fired. He says, "You've been doing a great job. We want to offer you full-time employment." And remember, the temp company, they didn't check my background. Back then, it wasn't a big deal. There was really not a checkbox. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? It wasn't. I didn't have to lie. But in the temp company, you get there and they said they converted me to a full-time employee. So now I'm an AT&T employee. So I'm now working for AT&T, and I get a chance to grow and progress through my career. First part at AT&T, Microsoft certifications, Cisco certifications, all while I'm there. And by the time I left and was ready to go to my next job, I was a fully decorated Cisco engineer. I could walk in and be like, hey, I could command a salary that I wanted. But when 9/11 hit, it was a problem. Everybody started checking backgrounds. It was, and if you had any type of blemish, you were not going to get a job. It was just how it was. It was then, that was, you think, 2001. I started IntelligIS in 2005 because it became a problem. Going to job, it was just a challenge.
Mhm.
So I started working for myself and I took off from there and I never looked back.
Man, that's awesome. That's an interesting place though, where I didn't know when the checks started happening. So 9/11 is when they all started happening, huh?
Absolutely.
Man, and I guess, one thing, have you thought through, I mean, outside of being your own boss, which is obviously not for everybody, but certainly I like it. It's rewarding for me, and I think it's rewarding for you. But what about people right now that have a felony or blemish or something on their record that they can't quite get rid of? Like, any advice? Is there anything that's changed where, like, there's, I mean, like you said, you took responsibility, you changed. Um, how do those people get better jobs or get employment, and so they don't get back in the same thing? Do you have any advice or thoughts around that?
Mm, I do. I can look at my own life and I can only speak for me. I try my best not to speak for other people. I can
Mhm.
tell you that really what helped me was looking in the mirror and accepting responsibility that I got in trouble. And that really helped me because I knew I would have to work harder. I knew I was going to get the no's. They were still painful, but I expected them to come. And I didn't get mad when someone says we can't hire you. I just said, okay, here's where the humbleness comes in, is like, all right, I get it. I messed up and I gotta know. But I still tomorrow gotta go knock on the next door. And
Mhm.
you gotta keep knocking on the doors. At
Yeah.
some point, they say when someone closes a door, God opens a window. Sorry, it happens. How much are you going to weather the storm to get your first yes?
Mhm.
Everybody is not going to say no. But the two things I would definitely say is just happens. Number one being the discipline, the determination to keep going. But also, you really need to have some type of education, some type of something that's valuable. Because today, you can look at my record or you can look at the things I've done, all the certs, all the education. You have to now weigh them. You can't just say, he's this without weighing the other side. So when you walk in, I'm at a really good playing field, even though I don't have to worry about this stuff today because I run my own company.
Mhm.
But going to a job, how attractive are you? Right? Can someone see the change that's happened in you and be willing to put their butt on the line to give you a chance? That's it.
Yeah.
And if you have that, because I can say yes, even though another company says no. When they walk in the door of intelligence and they have blemishes, I know what I went through. I know that just because you made some bad decisions doesn't make you a bad person.
Right.
So I can say yes when other people say no. And that's the blessing of now running your own company, is that you get a chance to tell people yes when somebody else will say, no, I can't take a chance with you. I can.
Yeah. I mean, that was awesome. I remember growing up, there was a statement that was said in our house, and it was that true character is what you do when no one's around, you know, and that when you can look yourself in the mirror, same type of scenario, that you did the right thing. Because we all, like, I mean, man, I've made so many mistakes. Like, there's things I would take back. There's things I would do. I never had a felony, but, like, I had a lot of other stuff that happened. There was dumb financial things. I got people into things that they shouldn't probably got into. I don't know. So
Mhm.
it's just, I don't know. I've lived life to the fullest, I think.
I hear you. Yeah.
but, I think that, you know, there's always that second chance, or there's always that restart, that reboot, that there is that opportunity. I talk a lot about just, you need to have that time and space sometimes just alone, where you're with yourself and
Mhm.
nobody else is distracting you. There's no music, there's nothing. You're silent, and you know just thinking, and listening. Was God telling you, right? What are you doing next? What do you truly, are you happy with yourself? If not, change it, and take the steps to do it. And so talk to me more about Bounce Back. Is that the premise of what Bounce Back is about? Because I don't know anything about the organization.
Absolutely.
Told me just very briefly. So tell me about
Well,
that.
you see the shirt, right?
I do.
It's not how you start, right? And on the
Yeah.
back, it's how you finish. Right? So
Love.
it's truly not how you start in my case, right? It's truly with anybody. You accept responsibility and you fight through it. Because it's never how you start. It's how are you gonna finish the race, right? And it's about the strong finish. Some athletes don't start so great. Michael Jordan, think about it, how he started.
Yeah.
He was horrible, right?
Yeah.
But look, he's what can you say? The name Michael Jordan, right? And
Mhm.
there's nothing else. So
Yeah.
if you look at how you start versus how you finish, going through that process, it's just it's how resilient are you? So with bounce back. How do you
Yeah.
go through something and bounce back from it? It doesn't make you a bad person. You made bad decision. How do you look at what you went through and bounce back to move forward? That's the key. And it doesn't matter what situation, whether you have think about people that have bad credit. There are people that have bad health and you fight through it. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, you keep fighting and nothing's easy. They told me we laugh about it, right? But people, we have these little meetings, and I'm in a bunch of peer groups, and people are like, "Oh, that should be easy." It's like, who said life was easy?
Yeah.
Who said that, right? Who said that building a business was going to be easy? Who said that running the business? Who said that you weren't going to make mistakes? Who said that you weren't going to get irritated? Who said that your tire wasn't going to get on flat? That you weren't going to have this, or you weren't going to have this, right? Or you would have bad credit, you wouldn't have bad credit, or you would lose your job or not lose your job. Who said these things? Because whoever said that, I would love the crystal ball that they're using, because you are going to have problems, and the Bible says it. Consider it all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many types. That's James 1:2, right? So you are going to, the Bible, God says you're going to have problems. So if it's in the Bible, you have to understand that you're going to have issues, that you're going to go through challenges. You got to be able to bounce back from it, right? Because they're coming, whatever form they come in. They're going to be, life's going to throw monkey wrenches in the game, as they call it, right? How do you deal with it? How do you react? How do you recover? IntelligIS was God's restoration for my life. Bounce back is God's purpose for my life.
I love it. So who should be looking into Bounce Back?
If I work with Justice Impacted Black Men, where I'm a black guy, right? And I know the challenges we face. We make up here right now in the state of Georgia. There are about 53,000. These are statistics you can pull down from the Georgia Department of Corrections. I didn't make them up, and nor did AI give them to me. They're on the website. There are about 53,000 people locked up right now. Over 30,000, right? A little over 30,000 are black men. So it impacts our entire community. It impacts our generations. It makes single kids like me grow up without dads. Because your dad's in prison or your dad can't get a job. So it impacts our community. So if we can change a few lives, those lives add up. And what it does is impacts future generations. So Bounce Back is about providing advanced technical training, certification training to men, to help them bounce back and go on with a healthy career. I did not say get them a job. I said career. There's a difference. You can get a job anywhere, doing anything. Meaningful career in an industry that's going to continue to grow, technology, right? So that's a big difference. I always like to say that. In other words, I like to consider myself, I like to teach people how to fish because they say if I teach you how to fish, you'll never be hungry. So the key is get someone in, understand who they are first with your personality with assessment tests. Then you take an aptitude test to make sure that technically you have a technical aptitude because we don't want to put you in something that you're not good at. You can have a mechanical aptitude, which means I need to move you to one of my partner companies that does a person that are good with mechanical skills. So whatever it is, we're not trying to turn people away. We're just trying to make sure that you're on the right bus, sitting in the right seat, because that's just as important. You can't stick and run everybody through a program. They have to be able to fit, and the program has to be a good fit for you. So again, we like to use analogy of GPS. We need to be able to direct you in the right path so you can get to the right destination.
So if somebody, this is how new is Bounce Back? Is it relatively new?
Bounceback's been around for a long time. I started it probably more, but it's in a small scale. I started it about 13 years ago. Every
Okay.
year, I'm training maybe 2 people, but it's a lot of time. So we're not talking about sticking somebody in a class. We're saying full development, technical development of somebody. That takes a long time. Now I'm looking to grow it. I'm looking to build an entire building to support it, which means
Awesome.
it will be a formal training program, which I call Bounce Back University, right?
Yeah.
So you'll come through Bounce Back University. We'll give you aptitude tests and then we'll put you in the right place. We currently, right now, which we're going to stick with, Bixie, one of the most renowned organizations, and Cisco. I'm a Cisco engineer. We're also members of Bixie. Bixie is an authorized training as an authorized training facility. We're also a Cisco networking academy, and I am now getting ready to get into our first office. That's the official office where I just won't be training people on the side as I did while I was running IntelligIS. I will be in the bounce back office every day, focusing
Mm.
on building bounce back at the same level that I've taken to build IntelligIS.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, and so, well, let me know how we can help, and certainly
Thank
if
you.
listening to this, check in, on the site. We'll have the site up on underneath, and because I'm sure like you could turn into a place where when you're going through all that training, people are looking for trained individuals, and so I mean, it does turn into a hire or for a career, right? So
Absolutely.
there's a career path there. We definitely touch quite a few. Different industries and a lot of technology companies in what we do. So I think that's fantastic, and I love the fact that I mean you're taking 2 people and now you're going okay now let's scale this, but like those 2 people that you've affected every year. I mean,
It
what have the
adds up.
stories been there for 13 years? I mean, how many lives have you already affected? That's I think that's a beautiful scenario where like a lot of times people think, oh, I got to do an organization. It's got to be this huge thing and everybody's going to know about it. It's not the case. Just impact those that are closest to you that you can affect personally. Right. And I think that's fantastic. It's really fantastic. Um, so let me ask you one more time, because I know that there are people that are out there and we've talked about it a little bit, but like you talked about getting down there. I want to know like the nitty gritty, what gets that grit, what can get somebody like just to turn the corner on something and really just start to go after that career, thrive, change that mindset. Like, what do you think? What's top 2 things that you think you can tell them right now if they're listening to this?
That they think they can, right? When you see a person like me, I made mistake after mistake after mistake. I come from nothing. I don't come from Harvard. I don't have 50,000 degrees. I don't have PhDs or MBAs behind my name. I'm just Marcus Wilson. Yes, I have some technical certifications that I've worked my butt off to get, but I don't have this world class education from Harvard, Yale, blah. I'm just me. It comes from true grit. I worked. I told you I was the first one there and the last one to leave, and I never made excuses. So I showed up. When the door, I knew the door would be closed. I still knocked on it, right?
Yeah.
I knew they would tell me no. I still showed up. I could have said, I already know they're going to tell me no, so I'm just not going to go. I still went. And yes, I went, and it was brutal when you hear the no, but I still showed up. So I showed up. And yes, I know they're going to probably tell me no, but I still showed up. So to me, show up. Um,
Yeah.
that's it. You want to give yourself an opportunity to make it or get through the door. You still got to show up at the door. It doesn't matter if they don't open it. You still got to knock. And if they let you in, you still got to speak and try to pitch and sell yourself, right? Because you're always selling yourself. So you got to go in and tell them, yeah, you're right. You shouldn't hire me. Maybe you shouldn't if you look at my background. But if you do, I'm just gonna be the hardest worker you have. I'm gonna
Yeah.
outwork everybody. That's one thing, right? I'm gonna just outwork people. So you're never gonna see me late. Then I'm gonna stay here and get my job done. And if you give me one opportunity, you will never regret hiring me. And I do the same thing with the company. If you look at our clients, we will work all night to make sure a client is taken care of. We don't always get it right, but I tell you what, we work hard. We're going to honor our word. We're going to be on time. We're going to be committed. That's it. That's what you get with us. Do we make mistakes like everybody else? Yes. I wouldn't get here and market myself and say IntelligIS is the greatest IT company. We're just great workers. We're going to do our job. And yes, we make mistakes, but we're going to fix them.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean, but that's what you need. And
Right?
yeah, absolutely. I know when I actually lived in Atlanta, I had a very short term job that was selling oil changes door to door. And so we get dropped off in a neighborhood and it was actually a good deal. I think it was like $29 and you had like 10 oil changes. I mean, but like people would not buy it. He's knock on the door, knock on the door, knock on the door, and finally you get one. I mean, it was like
You
a
have
good day if you sold like 5. I'm
right.
like, I'm like, I don't know how the company made any money, but like they were selling oil changes and at like a super discount. So I don't know. It was like a $400 or $500 like value for $29. But like
Wow.
you say no.
Right.
Nah,
You can't beat it,
I
right?
don't need it. I
$29,
don't
right?
need that. I'm like, you don't have a
Right.
car? You don't have a car? You don't ever change your oil? Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess they just change out their engine once they,
Right.
once it goes.
Just go buy a new car, right?
Yeah,
I did all time. Nope, I'm just gonna buy a new car.
yeah. But I mean, I did stop that job because I'm just like, this is demoralizing. I'm like, it's actually a good value, but people are still saying
You
no
still don't
because I'm
want it.
coming up to the door.
It's and but you gotta be willing. If you
Yeah.
think about what you just said, right?
Mhm.
That process has made you who you are today.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Well,
learn.
after that, I started a pressure washing company. I still knocked on doors, but they said yes because it was like,
It was
and they
more of a
paid me a
need,
whole
right?
lot more than $29.
It was more of a need, right? So the
Yeah.
perception is pain, right? It was more
Yeah.
pain. I need my pressure washer. It's more pain to go get a pressure washing machine than it is for me to
Yeah.
drive my car and put it on the lift for 10 minutes to get an oil change, right? So
Yeah.
it's the and that's what you're doing, right? In a business, if you let's say you can't get a job,
Mhm.
there are a lot of needs out here. I just had a breakfast with a gentleman yesterday from church, and I said we were talking about like businesses, and I said, hey, there you can build a business out of anything as long as there's a need. So I was sitting in Einstein Bagels, and I was on the right hand side next to a window, and I turned because I use this with my wife. I say, look at these windows. If they're dirty, you can the hand prints from people putting their prints. Not that Einstein Bagel has any dirty windows, but people put their handprints on windows. What if I charge them $3 a window? Well, there are millions of windows. Look,
That's right.
millions of windows, right? Like, think about it. I'm talking
Yeah.
about in Atlanta, in the area, millions of windows in the area. If I can just get a certain percentage of people to give me $3 to come and say, hey, I want to just clean your windows. Now, it's not the pretty job. E-
Yeah.
A lot of people want the pretty title,
Yeah.
but it's a real business to address a pain. And who likes to clean windows? Right? It's not
Yeah.
some I'm gonna get up in the morning. Oh, you know what? Let me go clean my windows. But somebody, I still want clean windows when you come into my or whatever I am, my restaurant, I need to be clean. So you walk in and you say, "Hey, I'm gonna give you the cleanest windows that you've ever
Yeah.
seen. They're gonna be
Yeah.
immaculate. And if I get 1,000 windows that I clean a week, I'm making 3,000 a week. What if
Yeah.
I get 10,000 windows that I'm cleaning?"
Yeah.
Right? I just built
Yep.
$1 million firm cleaning windows,
Yep.
and it's possible.
And the
It,
needs there.
the
The needs
needs
there.
there, right?
Somebody didn't walk in and ask, or maybe somebody walked in and asked, they said no, it has to go through corporate or something, and they took a no as a no instead of like just saying, "Hey, what if you even what if you did this? You start cleaning the windows. They come out and say, why are you cleaning the windows?
Because they
Start
were
doing that.
dirty. Right,
Yeah,
that's right.
'cause they
Pay
were
me
dirty.
out of petty, pay me out of petty cash because I know you got petty cash in there, right? Everybody has petty
Exactly.
cash.
Right.
Look, right? Everybody's got petty
I'll
cash.
take 2 dozen bagels.
That's right, right? Pay me. I was like, just give me some.
Yeah.
So, so it's one of those things where just be creative, never find a reason to succeed. I think
Mhm.
we're always looking for reasons. Like we have, it was easy for me to find a reason to fail.
Mhm.
If you think about it, I come from Greenville, Mississippi. I didn't have, I didn't go to school for all this stuff. I went to prison. I didn't have a dad. My mom died at 48. Do you know how many excuses I can sit on here and tell you about why I should be failing? I mean,
Yeah.
I can go down the whole list. We can just I can get my pen and paper, start writing every reason. What you have to do is find out why you want to succeed,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It just takes a change of your mind to say, no, how can I succeed? I know how many ways I can fail.
Mhm.
I need the way I can make this work and change my life. And that's what I focused on. And I put positive things in my head. I listened to people like Tony Robbins and Les Brown and TD Jakes get these motivational. I put everything back in the day. There was Success Magazine. Remember
Yeah.
Success Magazine? Remember in the back of the magazine there was a CD because I most people don't even look at CDs today, right? We came up in the day where it's cassettes. I remember cassettes, but I had
Yeah.
CDs. So every month when Success Magazine came out, I couldn't wait. The first thing I do is I go to the store and I get it and I would rip the CD off the back and pop it in,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
and I would listen to people like John Maxwell,
Mhm.
right? Talk
Yeah.
about leadership and struggles and trials and how to succeed. So I stopped listening to all the music and what I was listening to about the derogatory stuff. And I started feeding myself with positive stuff
Mhm.
every day as I'm driving. I'm listening to positive stuff and it's feeding my spirit and my mind. And I'm
Mhm.
keeping the bad stuff out because I can listen to some music and it's bad. It puts me in a different mood, but I kept that good stuff flowing in me and it works.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, what you put in your body in general, that's the principle, right? You put good food in, you're gonna be healthier, right? You put junk food and fast food in, you're not gonna be healthier, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's the same thing with your mind. You're feeding your mind. So it's 100%. And those people that you surround yourself with as well, because I'm sure like as you had changed your friends and those that you associated with, you had to.
I had
And
to.
your mentor said, no, you're not going there. You're not going out. You're not doing this. And it took somebody to say that to make it like understand, like, I mean, the point, like you hadn't thought about it that way, right? So it's like, here's the point. Don't go with them or you're going to be like them. There's a my dad was a shop teacher, and I've used this story a couple times before on here, but I'm going to use it again because
Mhm.
it's such a good story. But when he would have people in detention, um he would get them up on the table. I don't know if they would do that nowadays, but you can visualize it. Get them up on the shop table, and then he's like, pull me up. And they can't pull him up because, but he's like, look how easy it is for me to pull you down. And he goes, that's what
Mm,
bad company does. It pulls you down. Even if you're a great person and you want to try to help them, you really can't, because you have to they're going to pull you down. right? And eventually they'll pull you down. So there's something to be said about that, and I think it's a great visual example of just not being in bad company. So yeah. Um, well, what else,
And that's
man? What?
great. What you just
Yeah,
said was great. I'm gonna use that. I got to steal it from you. I got to
yeah,
put
you
somebody
can,
on the table. I mean,
you can.
that's a great. Trust me, it's great what you just said. That
Yeah,
analogy, like get up there, pull
yeah,
me up, but I guarantee you, I can pull you down easier because I got gravity with me, right on
that's
my side.
bad company corrupts almost every time, right? So I mean, there's
Absolutely.
exceptions, of course, to everything, but there's another example that's very similar like that too, because I love examples, because you can get it right. Take a piece of paper, right, and you put it against the wall right here. Take this, I put it against the wall, right? I hold it there. Now, tell me to go across the room, but I have to keep holding this here. If you're holding something against someone, you can't leave and go somewhere else and get to your dreams and the places you want to go, right? So as soon as you drop it, now you're free to go.
Mm,
You have to like
absolutely.
let it go, right? And I mean, I think that's another great example of just how we can, you know, just show people that you can't hold it against whoever. Somebody did something bad against you, you know, let it go.
Let
And
it
if you
go.
did something bad against somebody, go ask forgiveness. Go like, get there and say you're sorry. I mean, that's something I think we're just we haven't done enough of either. It's just it's hard. It's humbling. But that's something I think you have to do too. If you don't do the right thing with your clients, hey, we messed up. I want to tell you before you find out. Or if you found out already, I'm like, we're sorry. Like, we're gonna fix it. That type of thing. And I think that's less and less, unfortunately, in society. But those that do it stand apart. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, they say like it's like holding that stuff in. What do they say? It's
Mhm.
like drinking poison, expecting someone else to die.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're holding
Right.
something in, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I think more people should give people opportunities because everybody's not bad. We got this negative stereotype of people that's been in trouble. Did
Mhm.
people just make bad decisions? Everybody's not given the same opportunity. It's true. It's not a sad story. It's not a sob story. It's not a made up story. Everyone doesn't have the same opportunity in life. They don't. Some people, we talk about second chances. Some people didn't have a first chance. You're telling me that somebody grew up, their mom was on crack and their dad was in prison or something, or didn't have a dad. Are you telling me they had a first chance? I'm just saying, right? Sometimes you got to give people some grace the same way you need grace. God died, Jesus sent Jesus to give us grace because we didn't deserve it, right? So everybody deserves something. I'm not going to say I don't really use second chance because some people don't have a first chance. Everybody deserves an opportunity to
Yeah.
have a quality life if they want it. There are people that will stay locked up because they are harmful. I don't have a crystal ball or whatever to tell you who's that person or not. I'm not God.
Mhm.
But the people, they're bad. People to do good people do bad things, bad people do good things. Who are you? I don't know that. But I can tell you if you want a shot and you're willing to work for it, I believe you should be afforded the opportunity to get that shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Well, what else? I think we talked about a ton
Yeah,
today, and
yeah.
certainly inspiring. And hopefully, those at home, or work, wherever they're listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, you got something from this. And again, remember, the algorithm doesn't always like us, so you got to share it. It's on you. Now that you heard it, you got to share it because somebody can be impacted by it, and you might be that vessel that is the one that's going to give it to them, and maybe it changes their life forever. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
we see transitions and transformations in people's lives all the time, and I want to hear about those stories too. So if you have listened to one of our regenerative inspiration, or if you've been part of Bounceback, and we hear those stories, add them to wherever you saw this. It's somewhere online. So, but any other final thoughts here, Marcus? Because I've really enjoyed just getting to know you, and I can't wait to get back to Atlanta and we'll hang out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Looking forward to it. And I just want to say thank you again for having me. It's an honor. It's a blessing, and I mean that from my heart. It's not when you came up to me. it's always when somebody says, "Hey, I wanna hear your story. What you said is inspiring," and God had put in me, you got to start sharing more because if you've been through something, yes, nobody wants to go tell people they've been to prison.
Mm,
Who does that?
no.
But I believe that I can change more lives by saying that because I might get a chance to touch somebody's life. Yes, it's embarrassing. Yes, but it happened and I can't change it, right? But what I can do now is take what I've been through and do my best to help other people, right? And if I can, I will. And yes, it will come at sometimes your ego being bruised or whatever. It is what it is, or your reputation possibly being damaged. But when you get in front of God, He ain't gonna look at that. He's just gonna say one thing: did you do what I built you and purposed you and allowed you to be born to do? That's all you're gonna get, right? You ain't gonna get how what bigger company you did or how much money you made or how many cars you did. How many people's lives did you change? And that's it. So I want people to bounce back because it's never how you start. It's truly how you finish. That's it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thanks again, Marcus, and thanks for joining us on Regenerative Inspiration today. And again, please share this with those that you feel like can be impacted by this, and leave your comments and things. And until next time, we will see you there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Will.
All right, thank you very much.